Hello dear learners, welcome in this video of UV visible spectroscopy. So in this video we will see the basic principle of UV spectroscopy. So let us start. UV spectroscopy is also called as molecular absorption spectroscopy because the basic principle over here it's a absorption and it's a type of molecular spectroscopy. So it is known as molecular absorption spectroscopy and electronic absorption spectroscopy because the basic principle is involved. It's electronic transitions. There is a change in the energy of electron and it will come to the ground state to excited state. So it's a change in a state of electron, the valence electron. That's why it is also known as electronic absorption spectroscopy. So, the basic principle is electronic transition. Now, the general information. The region of radiation is 200 to 400 nanometer. Now see, this is the UV region. This is the wavelength region to absorb UV radiation, 200 to 400 nanometer. And the 400 to 800 nanometer is for visible radiation, for visible light. Now energy ranges from 1 to 10 electron volt per photon. Then concentration range. Here you can take a concentration range up to 1 to 10 ppm. You can say in other words microgram per ml. So this is the concentration range. Till this you can select. Now see the electronic spectrum of UV. Whenever you will going to take any spectrum, so you will get this kind of spectra. It's a UV spectra. On y-axis it have a absorbance and on x-axis it have a wavelength. It's denoted by lambda as we have seen in the previous lecture of fundamental of spectroscopy. The unit is nanometer. So see over here, as this is a UV region, as I said, the 200 to 400 nanometer is a UV region and 400 to 800 is a visible region. So you are going to take a UV spectra in this region 200 to 400, you will get this kind of spectrum. For example, if you are going to take a UV spectra of paracetamol, the reported lambda max of paracetamol, you can say absorption maxima of paracetamol is 257 nanometer. So you will get this kind of spectra at here. It's a 257 nanometer. So now we will see what is lambda max. This is how it is look like, how UV spectra is look like. Now we will see what is this lambda max. Okay, so what is lambda max? It is a wavelength in a nanometer at which there is a highest absorption. Means what? If you are going to take a UV spectra of paracetamol, here at a 257 nanometer you are finding a highest absorbance. See in this spectra, here at this height it's a highest absorbance. Okay, here it's not highest nanometer. Okay, it's a highest absorbance. So here you are getting the highest absorbance. So it is known as absorption maxima, or you can say the lambda max. It is a universal constant, okay, of a compound at a given condition. So it is useful for qualitative analysis. Now see, when it is changed. For example, if you are going to take the UV spectra of paracetamol in NaOH, okay, you will find at a 257 nanometer there will be a lambda max of paracetamol. And if you change the solvent, your lambda max will be changed. That means lambda max can be changed by the conditions like pH, the solvents or temperature. Okay, so at different temperature, if you will observe UV spectra, you will find a different lambda max. It is not dependent on concentration. For example, as I said earlier, there is a 1 to 10 ppm. If you are going to take a lambda max of 10 ppm solution or 100 ppm solution, you will find the same lambda max. It's only at 257 for paracetamol. But if you will change the solvent, if you will change temperature, your lambda max can be changed. But by increasing or decreasing concentration, there is no difference in a lambda max. That's why it is a constant. Okay, and we have to first select the constant whenever we are going to take a UV spectra. Now see absorbance. So what is absorbance? It is directly proportional to concentration of the sample. Okay, as we will increase the concentration of sample, the absorbance will be increasing. Okay, we will get our absorbance in an increasing order. For example, if we are taking the absorbance of 1 ppm solution, obviously whenever we are going to take absorbance in an increasing order of concentration like 1 ppm, 2 ppm, 3 ppm, 4 ppm and 5 ppm. So we will find that we will get, as we are going to increasing the concentration, there will be increase in the absorbance. So it is used for qualitative analysis. We can say absorption is equal to the extinction, color density, color intensity, optical density. Now see, here we can find what is it exactly. So generally, now see, T means transmittance. So what is transmittance? We have seen what is absorbance. Okay, from this we will get what is absorbance. So transmittance means it is a ratio of this is the incident light. Okay, means this is our incident light I0. Okay, intensity. I means intensity. This is a IT means intensity of transmitted light and I0 means intensity of incident light. So transmittance is the ratio of intensity of transmitted light and intensity of incident light. So absorbance is the minus log T means transmittance. So this is our absorbance. So generally I0 considers 100%. Here see, look at the color. This is our I0. It's 100%. Now the amount of radiation absorbed by sample. See, this is your cuvette. This kind of cuvette you are going to utilize in a UV. Okay. So this is your cuvette. Here you can put your sample. You can take your UV spectra by keeping your sample in this cuvette. So the amount of radiation absorbed by sample is directly proportional to intensity of incident radiation. Okay, here whatever amount is absorbed, obviously it is directly proportional to intensity of incident radiation, and this is a intensity of transmitted radiation or transmitted light. Here you can see this is a sample. So we can see the clear difference over here. What is absorbance? So some amount of light is absorbed over here, and that we are going to measure by UV spectrometer. Now we will see the basic principle of UV spectroscopy. So as I said, the basic principle of UV is a electronic transition. So to study these transitions, there are 4 types of transition. But to understand that transition, we should understand what are the type of electrons. Actually, there are 3 types of electrons. S means sigma electrons, P means pi electrons, and N electron. Now what is sigma electron? So the electrons which are present in a saturated compound, we can say it is a type of sigma electrons. What is pi electrons? So the electrons which are present in a unsaturated compound, it's a pi electrons. And N electrons means non-bonding electrons. This N is stand for non-bonding electrons. Means the electrons, you can say like oxygen, sulfur, okay, this kind of electrons, non-bonding lone pair of electrons, which having a lone pair of electrons, non-bonding electrons. It's N electrons. Now we will see how many type of electronic transitions are there. So here you can see over here, this E means energy. Here this is a MO means molecular orbital. So just remember this, just look at this chart. here you can see the sigma electron, pi electron and n electron. This is the non-bonding molecular orbital. This is bonding molecular orbital, and this one is a anti-bonding molecular orbital. Is the pi star and sigma star. So here this is the energy. Okay, this is the energy difference. How means any transition will take how much energy is denoted by this E. We can see in this figure. So just look at this sigma. Okay, so this sigma to sigma star, it's the first type of transition from bonding to antibody sigma star. Then N to sigma star. First is a sigma to sigma star. Then N to, we can say N to sigma star. Here this is a N to sigma star. Then we can see over here pi to pi star and N to pi star. So just there is a change from bonding to anti-bonding. Then molecular orbital, non-bonding to anti-bonding. So we will see this all transition one by one. Now see, this is the order of wavelength difference. Okay, this statement you can see over here. By this we can say that the N to pi star transition will take a higher wavelength. Means this N to pi star transition is occur at a higher wavelength, highest wavelength. Why? Because see here, see, to occur this transition the energy is very low but the wavelength is very high, and here to sigma to sigma star there is a more energy and wavelength is low. Now we will see first transition is a sigma to sigma star transition. So what is it? So here, as I said, an electron in a S, we can say in a sigma orbital, is excited to the anti-bonding sigma star orbital. So here, as per the figure, we can say highest energy required. For example, now how we can say? So as you think, as I said, what is sigma electron? So sigma electron means which is present in a saturated compound. So sigma to sigma star transition can only occur in a compound having sigma electrons. So we can say that CH bond, okay, can undergo sigma to sigma star transitions. For example, methane. So we can take example like methane, ethane, okay, of a only single bond having compound without any N, or we can say non-bonding atom. So here this is the wavelength. Okay, as energy is high, here our wavelength is very low, it's a 125 nanometer. So generally we can say it is not, we cannot get this kind of transition in UV, or you can say below 200 nanometer. So absorption maxima due to this transition are not seen in a typical UV visible spectra. Okay, so we cannot find the UV spectra of this kind of molecule in which there is a transition of sigma to sigma star. Now we will see what is N to sigma star transition. So obviously, if we are going to take the example of N to sigma star transition, how we can decide, or which kind of compound we will see? Okay, in which kind of compound we can observe this kind of transition? So we can observe in the compound like, for example, saturated compound containing the lone pair of electron. Okay, like we can say methanol. Like we can say methanol. Okay, having a saturated compound with an electron as a oxygen. So methanol is an example of N to sigma star transition. This transition need less energy than sigma to sigma star. As we have seen over here, it will take a less energy. Okay, sigma from sigma to sigma star. and they can be initiated by light whose wavelength is in the range of 180 to 250 nanometer. So as it required a less energy, it will have the wavelength till 250 nanometer, means 180 to 250 nanometer is the range for N to sigma star transition. Like the compound like methanol, ethanol, we can see this kind of transition is there. All the peak are observed at a lower end of UV spectrum. So it can be called as a end absorption, or we can say a T band. Why? See, the band produced by this type of transition is known as T band, because we are getting the peak at the lower end of UV. See, as we have seen in the earlier slide, the UV spectra, it will come to the left side. So at the end we are getting this, Now see, pi to pi star transition. So pi to pi star transition, you can say in a benzene there will be a pi to pi star transition, in an aromatic compound there will be a pi to pi star transition, or in any double bonded compound which is not having any non-bonding electrons, having this kind of transitions. Now it again having a less energy, so it will occur at a higher wavelength than N to sigma star and sigma to sigma star transitions. Then N to pi star transition. So here again the most absorption spectroscopy of organic compound is based on the transitions of N, or we can say pi electron. Means what? Whenever we are going to take a UV, mostly we are going to observe the transitions, electronic transitions, either it may be pi to pi star or N to pi star. This is because the absorption peaks for these transitions. Or we are going to take the example of this kind of transition. We can say phenol. This is the example of N to pi star transition. So this is because the absorption peak for this transition fall in the region of this UV or visible, and this transition need an unsaturated group to provide the pi electron, and generally are most of the drugs having a unsaturated group. Now see this transition, some bands are there corresponding to the absorption transitions, electronic transition. It's known as absorption bands. There is a R band, K band, E band. So what is R band? It is originated from N to pi star transition. Now for example, the other example of N to pi star transition is acetone at a lambda max 279 nanometer. So the band originated from N to pi star transition is known as R band. Now what is K band? So which is originated from pi to pi star transition. We can say aniline or acetophenone is the example of K band, or we can say pi to pi star transition. B band. Now what is B band and E band? Obviously B band means benzene band, or we can say the benzoid band. So obviously it is originated from pi to pi star transition. So it is in between this range of the wavelength 230 to 270 nanometer. And E band means ethylenic bands. So it is also originated from pi to pi star transition, or we can say the ethylenic band in the benzene. So whenever we are going to take UV, from the structure of the compound we can understand which kind of transition is going on. This is the basic principle of UV. Now thank you dear learners. In the next video we will see the factors affecting UV spectroscopy in part 2. Thank you.